add these to the top of your notes to review from Algebra 1. So the GCF is the largest number that goes into both of them. So p cubed is the same as p times p times p. Negative 2p is the same as negative 1 times 2 times p. So the only thing they have in common is the p. So I will divide both of them by p. When I do that, p cubed divided by p is p squared. Negative 2p divided by p is negative 2. This is my final answer. It is equivalent to that. If you need help remembering how to factor out that GCF, you could also look at this and say 30 is 2 times 15. 15 is 3 times 5. If I do the same with 6, that's 2 times 3. For the b's, I have b times b times b for the first one. The second one is b times b times b times b times b times b. Sorry. As I am looking for the greatest common factor, they both have a 2 in them, they both have a 3 in them, and they both have 3 b's. So my GCF is 2 times 3 times those 3 b's, which is 6b cubed. So that is what I'm going to divide each of these by. So I have the 6b cubed out front. 30 divided by 6 is 5. The b cubes will cancel. 6 divided by 6 is 1. I'm left with 3 b's here. So b cubed. On this one down here, 24 is 2 times 12. 12 is 2 times 6. 6 is 2 times 3. And then I have 11 b's. Again, 24 is 2 times 12. 12 is 2 times 6. 6 is 2 times 3. And now I have 4 b's. For that negative 32, that's negative 1 times 32. 2 times 16. 16 is 2 times 8. 8 is 2 times 4. 4 is 2 times 2. And then I have the 3 b's. So as I look for the GCF, I have a 2 in all of them. I also have another 2 in all of them, and a third 2 in all of them. And then for the b's, they all have at least 3. So my GCF is 2 times 2 times 2 times b cubed, or 8b cubed. So I'm going to divide each of these by 8b cubed. Make sure again you're dividing all of them. So when I write out my factored answer, I have 8b cubed in front. 24 divided by 8 is 3. B to the 11th divided by b to the 3rd is b to the 8th. 24 divided by 8 is 3. B to the 4th divided by b to the 3rd is just b. Negative 32 divided by 8 is negative 4. B cubed divided by b cubed cancels. And I can even see here I have 3 left in the first one, 3 in the second one, and then negative 1 times 2 is negative 4 for that last one. Alright, so over here, again, I'm finding my GCF. With more practice, I don't need to show that work. So here the GCF is 10 because 10 goes into all three of those. And then n squared because it's always the smallest number for your letters. So I'm going to divide everything by 10n squared. 10 divided by 10 is 1. N to the 6th divided by n squared is n to the 4th. 10 divided by 10 is 1. N cubed divided by n squared is n. Negative 40 divided by 10 is negative 4. N squared divided by n squared cancels. So I'm left with my final answer. Yesterday and last week, you were factoring ones like this, where you would take the 25 and you need numbers that multiply to 25. So 1 times 25 and 5 times 5, but you needed numbers that add to 10. So 1 plus 25 is 26. 5 plus 5 was 10. And those are the two that I'm going to use. So I changed this to k plus 5 and k plus 5. Today you're doing that as well as the GCF. So we start by making our chart. 3 times 6 is 18. So I need numbers that multiply to 18. 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. I need numbers that add to 11. So when I add these, 1 plus 18 is 19. 2 plus 9 is 11. Oh, that's what I want. So I use the 2 and 9. This time I take the 11x and I change it to 2x plus 9x. Nothing else is changing. So I still bring down the 3x squared. And I bring down the plus 6. I am then going to split my problem in half to find the GCF of each side. So here, the GCF is x. So I divide by x and I divide by x. That leaves me with 3x plus 2. Here, the GCF is 3. So I'm going to divide by 3 and divide by 3. I'm left with 3x plus 2. Since these are the same, that is my first factor. The GCF makes up my second factor, x plus 3. And that's it. For this one, I'm going to start by multiplying. Two times negative 30. That's negative 60. So I want numbers that multiply to negative 60. 2 and negative 30. 3 and negative 10. 4 and negative 15. 5 and negative 12. 6 and negative 10. Oops, this should be negative 20. Alright, and I need them to add to 7. So 1 plus negative 60 is negative 59. 2 plus negative 30 is negative 28. 3 plus negative 20 is negative 18. 4 plus negative 15 is negative 11. 5 plus negative 12 is negative 7. Ooh, negative 7, and I want positive 7. So I change this to negative 5 and positive 12. When I multiply, that's still negative 60. And then negative 5 plus 12 is 7. So I'm going to use those to rewrite this problem. So I use my negative 5v and my positive 12v to change that 7v. I'm not going to change anything else in the problem. So I bring down the 2v squared. I bring down the negative 30. Then I'm going to split the problem so I can do the GCF. So my GCF for this one is v. My GCF for this side would be 6. So here I'm going to divide by v. 2v squared divided by v is 2v. Negative 5v divided by v is negative 5. Here I'm going to divide by 6. I'm going to write my positive 6 there. 12v divided by 6 is 2v. Negative 30 divided by 6 is negative 5. These are the same. So that's my first factor. And then I use the v plus 6 for my second factor. On the next set, you're doing the same thing, but just like last time, you cannot have it equaling a number that's not 0. So just subtract the 4 over first. So I have 7x squared minus 54x plus 35. And then you are going to be working for numbers that multiply to, let's see, 7 times 35 is 245. And numbers that add to negative 54. Go ahead and pause this and try to come up with that list. I got 5 times 49 was 245, and when that added, that gave me a positive 54, but I wanted a negative, so I changed these both to negative. It still multiplies to be 245, but now it adds to be a negative 54. So I'm going to change these. Negative 5x minus 49x. I'm going to bring down the rest of my problem. And then when I split it, I'm looking for my GCF. So my GCF for this first one is x. So I'm going to divide both of these by x. That leaves me with 7x minus 5. Here my GCF is 7. But because of this negative right here, I actually have to use a negative 7. So I have negative 7. When I divide everything by negative 7, I get 7x minus 5. I now have the same thing for both of these. And I can pull these guys over to be my x minus 7. Try the last one. I'll post each step as I go. My two numbers I was multiplying to were negative 2 and 1 for adding, which was negative 1 and a positive 2, so I rewrote those. I'm bringing down my 2x squared and my negative 1. And then I'm going to split it and find my GCF. So when I split this, here my GCF is x. So when I divide, I get 2x minus 1. Here my GCF is just 1. So when I divide, I get 2x minus 1. I'm left with 2x minus 1 and x plus 1.